May 23rd, 1997, the Catskill Mountains of New York, and Doug Pridgeon is filming his friends around a fire. It's a Friday night, and they're camped out for a nearby music festival, but they are not alone.
Are we filming now?
We're filming.
Okay, over here.
In the background of the footage, a shape emerges between the trees. It appears to be a small bipedal creature that proceeds to climb and swing from the branches. Look again, especially at that swinging motion.
This is not a dude in a suit. There's no way a person could imitate that kind of motion up in a tree. Most of those branches probably couldn't even support an adult human male's weight. It has to be an ape of some sort. I think that is a Sasquatch doing baby Sasquatch stuff up in a tree.
While reported sightings of young Sasquatch-like primates are rare, they do exist, including one story from British Columbia that dates all the way back to the 1800s.
The story goes that on the Trans-Canadian Railroad, the railroad workers saw a juvenile Sasquatch, even though they didn't call it that because the word didn't exist yet. They hit it with a rock, knocked it out, and basically captured it. People came and looked at it. A couple newspaper accounts depict how big it was, how tall it was. It wouldn't eat this, it would eat that, and then it disappears. Some people think that they are gonna ship it back to the UK and it died in transit and they threw it overboard. Dr. Grover Krantz suggested that perhaps P.T. Barnum bought it because it was around that time that Jojo the Dog-Faced Boy became part of the traveling circus for P.T. Barnum.
Barrickman also believes that if you look closely, you can actually see a potential mama Sasquatch in this footage.
Right there. Look at that. It's moving. It just moved back that direction. One of the most common misconceptions about Bigfoot is that it is an individual, but it's not true. They clearly reproduce as any normal animal would. And right here, this is the proof of that. We have a larger one down below and a juvenile up in a tree.
Many Sasquatch researchers believe the reason juvenile Bigfoot sightings are so rarely documented may be the same reason you've probably never seen a baby pigeon or a baby squirrel. The mothers of these animals secretly protect their young offspring in secluded nests or shelters until the moment they are big and strong enough to reveal themselves to the outside world. Let's see if this potential baby Bigfoot is ready to reveal himself to our experts. Some question if this could possibly be a human child swinging on these branches.
The problem is humans, for all their agility, don't have the capability to cavort around amongst the branches of a tree as the individual that I witnessed in this film. That points to at least the infant being something other than human.
So, if it's not human, what about a small bear? Infant bears are known to climb trees, but Meldrum says this creature's anatomy is much closer to an ape's.
Its limb proportions aren't that different from a small chimpanzee. Either what we're looking at is something like a chimpanzee infant, or it is a young Sasquatch.
Private investigator Steve Culls was one of the first people to investigate this mysterious video.
We had to confirm, and we did with the property owner, that they did not allow any animals whatsoever on the property because of insurance purposes. I did make calls around to see if there was any escapes from zoos or medical laboratories, and there weren't.
We checked with wildlife biologist Stephanie Manka to see if she could shed any light on this potential primate.
So based on primate behavior, I would expect the young to be closer to the adult because primates, they tend to have fewer young, and the young tend to stay around the mother for a long period of time. I wouldn't expect it to be so far away from the mother in the trees. And I highly doubt that a mother with its young would bring it so close to people at an event like a music festival where there is a lot of noise and a lot of people there.
In fact, it is this behavior that makes Manka disagree with Meldrum on the potential identity of these creatures.
With bears, they love to scavenge on human food. And in fact, a festival like this could even attract bears because they could realize that there's a lot of free food around for them to scavenge. Black bears can easily climb trees. And often moms will encourage their cubs to go up trees to protect them from predators. I think it's most likely a bear cub that's swinging in these branches and not a primate.
Our verdict? Unidentified animal. Menka thinks the creature's behavior says bear cub, while Meldrum thinks its limb proportions mean primate. Seems like the only thing our experts can agree on is that whatever this thing is, it certainly isn't human. May 15th, 2021. Hamid Vitalis is walking along the Brooklyn Promenade on his way to work at his freestyle rap channel when he looks out over the Manhattan skyline, whips out his phone, and captures this.
And I'm over here on the promenade looking at some going on. And when I looked at the phone, I saw 3 dots. So I looked up in the sky. I said, hold up, wait a minute. They were basically sitting in a solid pyramid formation.
3 orbs of light hover in the sky. They appear to be stationary. Then a plane appears from the left, passing across the sky toward the orbs.
And right when that plane came, that's when they started darting off. Yo, where'd they go? And only one stayed, and then the one darted off right in my face. And also I was like, well, hold up. Wait a minute. What did I just witness, y'all?
Let's play that back, zoomed in and slowed down. The 3 orbs form a triangle. They seem to hover right over Manhattan as a plane, those small moving lights, approaches them from below. And 2 vanish in an instant.
Where'd the lights go? Yo, where'd they go?
And then the 3rd slowly dims away. Why would UFOs be so attracted to the flavor New York is delivering?
Some people believe UFOs go to where all the action is because they pick up on the energy. Well, like moths, you know, they're attracted to the light.
UFO sightings doubled in New York City in 2020. One theory is that in the pandemic, people were taking the time to check out the night sky. The other obvious reason could be that UFOs come here to observe more frequently when our planet is in crisis. Our experts are in a New York state of mind. Let's see what they think. Mark D'Antonio says Hamid's video's metadata is consistent with camera phones. He thinks it's authentic and unaltered, but he doesn't see anything special in their shape.
Well, any 3 points makes a triangle. So if you're going to see 3 objects in the sky, you're always going to see some form of triangle.
D'Antonio quickly runs through what he thinks the orbs could and couldn't be.
If they were helicopters, then we would expect them to have their own recognition lights. They don't. Now, could they be drones? I don't believe that's what we're looking at. You'll notice that they're also really, really orange. What I see is what could be a classic case of a sky lantern.
Our aviation analyst, Tim McMillan, has a very different idea about what they are.
I think the biggest problem with them being sky lanterns is the fact that how bright they appear to be.
McMillan thinks the bright lights from the big city would drown out those from a drone or a sky lantern. He believes the answer is just a matter of perspective.
It's extremely difficult to judge the distance, height, altitude of aircraft. And when you're just looking at a couple of bright lights in the sky, it's even more difficult.
There were flights arriving at New York's LaGuardia Airport roughly every 10 minutes that night. And McMillan wonders if these are landing lights that are much farther apart than they appear.
Oftentimes, you can see these lights up to 100 miles away. And so I think we're looking at here is a series of aircraft that are coming in on an approach to the airport there with their landing lights on. It's giving this illusion that they're in this triangular pattern, or because they're at different altitudes as they're coming in.
There are over 3,000 flights in and out of New York City airports most days, and if these are 3 planes, they are probably about 5 miles apart from each other as they approach for landing. Their lights would easily be visible from Brooklyn. But how could they seem to disappear?
It may actually be that the aircraft have turned and banked, so they're no longer facing them directly.
Both D'Antonio and McMillan are pretty confident about their conclusions, but we're going to go with McMillan. Planes are far brighter and more numerous than sky lanterns over New York. Hamid is shooting a video for his rap channel most nights, so if he discovers any more freestyle in UFOs, we'll drop the knowledge right here. It's an overcast evening in 2018, just after Christmas in New York City, a place that's seen it all. But as one resident is walking to work in Brooklyn that night, he spots something even the most jaded New Yorker can't ignore.
Yo,
Do y'all see this?
The man pulls out his phone and records what appears to be a pulsing blue light in the airspace just above the city. The giant glow turns the entire sky around it an eerie shade of blue.
Yo, my heart is beating like see my heart.
The onlooker can barely keep it together as he talks to his girlfriend, who also can't believe what she's seeing.
My glasses, because I see this, but I'm not seeing. Yo, I gotta call Leroy and tell him to see this.
This sighting has a disconcerting similarity to other incidents of immense bluish glows in the night sky around the world, like this one in Latvia in 2015, or this one in France in 2021. The proliferation of videos like these have helped fuel a widely debunked apocalyptic theory. Journalist MJ Banias explains.
There's a theory that exists out there called the electromagnetic plasma changeover event. The EMCO, as it's come to be known, is where there will be some sort of cataclysmic occurrence where the poles of the planet will switch places. So the South Pole will become the North Pole. Our entire magnetic field that surrounds our planet will be thrown into chaos. Life on this planet would end as we know it.
Some who believe in IMCO think that when Earth's magnetic field is down during the switch, portals of cataclysmic plasma will open up in the sky. And these videos are a sign of those portals trying to open.
Look at this. Look at that.
We have this belief that one of the stages of the apocalypse are these mysterious portals that open up and they unleash plasma onto the world. And as the theory goes, this plasma is blue in color.
Now, Earth's magnetic poles do regularly switch about every 200,000 years. But there's no evidence these blue lights have any connection to that, not to mention plasma portals. So what is causing these sightings around the world? Time for our experts to illuminate us. Mick West believes the videos are connected, but for a different reason.
There's obviously something in common going on here. And I think what's in common between these blue lights is they're all caused by electrical faults. Because when a transformer blows up, an arc of electricity makes this very, very bright arc of blue light.
In fact, there is documentation of such an event on the night of the video from New York City.
There was a fire at a transformer station over in Queens. So that explains exactly what we're seeing here. And if you line up this view, you will see that that's where the transformer station actually is, just a bit over the horizon. And it's lighting up the clouds just above it.
So how does an electrical reaction on the ground cause such a display in the sky? According to atmospheric sciences professor Deanna Hentz, the cloud conditions on these particular nights plays a significant role.
This kind of solid sheet of cloud would be known as stratus clouds. They're very reflective. It's exceedingly common that these kinds of low clouds will reflect the either ambient or point light sources that are underneath them.
The low stratus clouds also greatly amplify the eerie glow of these explosions.
It's not like a mirror where you get a very crisp, clean reflection. Instead, things are reflecting off of millions of tiny little drops. And the result of that is that that will actually spread the light out in this very diffuse way to be able to be seen from a distance.
So, our verdict. All of these videos from around the world are the result of transformer explosions on the ground. There is not, in fact, an impending plasma apocalypse. So don't worry. If the world ends tomorrow, it will be for some other reason. July 2020, Montauk, New York. A young couple is walking on the beach. It's midday, and the two are searching for driftwood on the shore.
They noticed some sort of odd smell in the air. As they got closer, they realized there was a dead animal washed up on the beach. Something that definitely does not look normal.
Take a closer look at the dead, decomposing creature of unknown origin.
Its body is bloated, the skin is all tan from probably floating around in the ocean for a couple days, and can you imagine the stench?
The carcass is highly reminiscent of another famous find nearby, the so-called Montauk Monster.
News headlines were made around the world in July of 2008 when a bizarre creature washed up on the shores of Ditch Plains.
Everyone had a theory about the 2008 photos. Some wondered if the creature was a turtle without its shell. Some speculated it was a pit bull that had been beaten in an underground dogfight, or a dead raccoon whose hair had come out in the ocean. And what was up with that apparent beak? Might this be something unnatural?
Almost immediately, online conspiracy theories began to circulate that this creature was actually from Plum Island, which is the center of a disease research facility maintained by the United States government.
A 1971 New York Times article described the facility as a devil's island for the deadliest animal disease germs known to man, and the debunked conspiracy theory claimed it was the source of Lyme disease. Adding to the mystery, the rotten corpse disappeared before it could be analyzed.
Well, of course, people are going to connect the dots. This thing has to be from that thing, because I don't know what this is, and I don't know what that is, therefore they're probably related.
During the Cold War, Plum Island was the site of a secret biological weapons program targeting livestock. It's currently run by the Department of Homeland Security. So what to make of this recent grisly discovery? The Montauk monster of 2020? We showed the photos to our experts.
This animal at first glance might seem abnormal.
Marine biologist Dr. Shay Conger considers the Plum Island theory. She says neither of the two Montauk monsters look like mutants.
I can tell that this animal isn't some sort of deformed creature because it has every typical aspect of the skeletal structure of a mammal.
So could it be a sea creature of some kind? Wildlife biologist Lucy Eckersley takes a closer look.
You can see it's got all 4 limbs attached and a thin tail.
That says mammal, and she sees hands, which means it's a land creature.
From what I can see from these pictures, it looks like an animal that walks on all 4s. Maybe it could climb trees as well. It could probably grasp things with its 4 limbs. But it also looks quite stocky and round, so I wouldn't necessarily think it was a fast-moving predator that runs after its prey.
That rules out a canine like a pit bull.
The characteristics that I see here, including the teeth, as well as the body structure, and in particular the small front paws that seem to have very thin, flexible fingers, this is relatively easy to identify as a raccoon.
That's a raccoon? Experts say yes, and the original Montauk monster might have been one too. And that beak? Likely the decomposing bones and cartilage of a snout.
Some of the fur is missing, but most of the muscles are still intact. Many animals, if you take away their fur, look very, very different.
Lucy has a point. Check out this creature. Can you name it? Turns out it's a hairless bear.
And so an animal like a raccoon, if you take away its fluffy tail, it's going to look quite unusual. So I don't blame these people for not being sure what this is.
You know, it never helps matters when the corpses of these animals go missing, fueling talk of conspiracy. But in this case, we can tell a lot from the creature's body structure, teeth, and claws. Our verdict? This is the carcass of a raccoon.